Hello and welcome to another brand new episode of Dingers and Stingers, the podcast whose ass is in the jackpot, Terry. I'm Dallas, that's Drew, that's Matt, and we are gathered here today in front of Pod and Man to record another great episode of this lovely show. A little later on, we will talk about Olympic flag football. I found some interesting things out about that I wanted to talk to you guys about, so we'll talk about that. But first, let's start as always during MLB season with our MLB segment. And look, we're going to get right into it here. The Dodgers of Los Angeles are in a bit of an interesting place right now. Their starting rotation, which they have taking great lengths to bolster and make one of the certainly the most recognizable rotation in baseball, is decimated at the moment, as you know, many Dodger fans may have expected, but many of us did not. But they have some players coming back. They have some players starting to come back. And they've been involved in a lot of interesting stretches over the last couple weeks. So we want to take a second to just talk the state of the Dodgers here. So I'll set it up here with this. So Ohtani, his return to the mound is looming. Okay, we figured that maybe we wouldn't see him till after the All-Star break because they probably wouldn't need him and they wouldn't want to, run him out of gas before the postseason begins, which everyone assumes they'll be in it. And so my first question is, with Ohtani's return to the mound looming, what sort of a team, if he came back today, which he won't, but if he came back today, what sort of a team would he be returning to? Let's talk about where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's no question that they are not as healthy as they'd like to be, especially on the pitching side of things, which, we talked about at length in the offseason of just how many pitchers they got, and 10 pitchers could get hurt and they'd still have a pretty solid rotation. Well, they're kind of testing that theory right now. Because, yeah, a ton of them are hurt. Tyler Glasnow is on the injured list right now. Roki Sasaki's on the injured list. Blake Snell is on the injured list. Those are three guys that were supposed to be, mainstays in the rotation, even if it was fully healthy. And then some of the depth pieces as well. We know about Kyle Hurt and River Ryan from Tommy John last year. Gavin Stone, Emmett Sheehan, like all these starters are hurt. And that's not ideal. But then you read off who is starting for them, and it's Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Very good. Dustin May. A lot of rotations would probably like to have Dustin May. Clayton Kershaw is back. He hasn't pitched amazing yet, but, he's getting back in the swing of
Still
things.
Kershaw.
Yeah. Tony Gonsolin, another guy who's has an all-star game on his resume. And then Landon Knack, who is just another one of their, 10 million minor league kind of pitchers that come up and pitch pretty well. But yeah, obviously this is not what they want. But then you peek over at the standings, and they're 34-22, 2 games ahead of the Padres for first place in their division. The lineup looks strong, even with all those injuries. There's not. I think now that Teoscar Hernandez is back, there's no real notable lineup pieces on the injured list. So much so that they've had to DFA a couple of their longest tenured players in Chris Taylor and Austin Barnes. Both
Angels
of which,
legend, Chris Taylor.
both of which are not, this version of them has no business being on a competitive team like that. But still, I mean, they've been around for a long time on that team. So if I'm a Dodgers fan, I'm more perturbed than actually worried, is what I'll say. And yeah, if Ohtani comes back and gives them anything, that's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like, obviously people are excited. I'm excited. I like Shohei Ohtani, and I'm excited for him to return and play baseball. That being said, this is his second Tommy John, I believe, and we don't know what it's going to look like for him coming back in general, let alone like what that workload's going to look like. We're not going to know, how much he can actually pitch in terms of workload this season, just coming off of that injury. Um, Obviously, they're taking their time with him. I think that's the smart thing to do. I think if they were really smart, until they start to think to themselves, oh shoot, maybe we're in a situation where we might need to really press the gas to make playoffs. You kind of want to set them up for success for playoffs, expecting you'll be there, right? Like you don't want to rush them back right now in hopes that, you can save the middle of the season if you kind of know you're going to be in the running anyways. And so, like you said, I mean, they're in first place. I don't imagine that changing, especially with them getting a little healthier. Um, and so I don't see any reason to rush it back. But as far as the state of the Dodgers, like it's exactly what we said. They're good. And they're testing their depth right now, and their depth is, showing they're at least competitive still. Um, so I don't know. It's an interesting thing because it's kind of exactly what we said is like the one thing that could hurt the Dodgers, and they're still 2 games ahead. So like we'll see. Trade
Yeah,
deadline
and
still coming up too. Like I mean, they could be active if they wanted.
yeah, they will be. I have no doubts about that. And
Yeah.
in terms of Shohei coming back from his second Tommy John, like there's no question they're easing him back in. This is the longest I've heard of someone taking to get back from this specific surgery, even if it's always like missing a year. But he got it right after the 2023 season.
Hmm.
So he didn't pitch the whole 2024 season. He had 2 entire off seasons since then, and now we're about a third of the way through this season. Um, and he still hasn't pitched in a major league game. So like, yeah, there's no question they're being very careful with him, and that's probably the smart thing, and they're probably wise not to hit the panic button and rush him back, if you could even call it that at this point. But yeah, that I mean, come playoff time, I think the National League is going to be really tough. I think there's going to be a number of teams that I could see beating the Dodgers in a series because that's the way baseball works. The best team doesn't always win, and looking around at the standings, and if the Dodgers don't get 100% healthy, I'm not even confidently going to say they are the best roster come playoff time, but certainly I'm taking the National League, whoever comes out of there, uh, to win the World Series because it looks just night and day different, the top end talent of the National League teams versus the American League right now.
Yeah, for the Dodgers as well, you think about another thing that I might say would discourage, pressing the panic button and trying to rush Otani back is that the offense has been holding it down for the most part.
Yeah.
They're averaging, about 5 runs a game. Usually when you play teams when you're playing everybody in the league, you're not playing a great team every series. That could do you. They've run up against some issues with their bullpen a little bit. They made a trade, not to spoil the prediction segment for later, but they made a trade today for like a Reds pitcher that I think was maybe sort of someone they kind of gave up on the Reds, but the Dodgers wanted
Yeah,
to pick him up.
Edwin
Uh,
Diaz's brother, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, they made that trade. Hopefully, bolster that part of their roster a little bit, where they've had some problems. Watching those Angel Dodger games late in the game, the Angels were able to score a lot of runs in those games. So, taking a look at that, they see that weakness. Um, Early returns on Shohei Ohtani taking his first looks on the mound looks pretty good, though. We saw that new pitch he wants to work in. It may not be a new pitch overall, but it's new for him. He kind of has always relied on a split. That's pretty nasty. He's got that great fastball, and then he'll throw a curve in there, a slider. But he's working on some sort of a weird slider now that I saw footage of. That looks pretty baffling.
Yeah, they can just
But
do that these days. MLB pitchers, just like, yeah, they told me to start throwing this pitch, and so now I have it. It's like, okay, I guess I guess that's possible.
He's been in the lab. So look, at the beginning of the off season, and when we started talking about our off season predictions and like for what was going to happen this season, a Dodgers World Series appearance certainly seemed like a foregone conclusion. So Drew touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about the rest of the top of the NL. How the Dodgers have looked against them. They played the Mets just over the last weekend, and so is that such a foregone conclusion now? A World Series appearance, is that does that seem as obvious now as it did before?
No, I mean it the Dodgers have shown that they are you know, they're not perfect. Even healthy, there are flaws on this team. Um, and they've been beat. They had some even like some losing streaks so far this year. But at the same time, like would I bet against them? No, probably not. But the Phillies are a good team. The Mets are a good team. I think the Braves, despite their record right now, if they sneak into the playoffs, they would be a tough matchup. The Cubs, we talked about them last week, are a good team. And then, of course, in their own division, the three teams right under them, whether they're overperforming or underperforming or what have you, I think that still would be a tough matchup in a short playoff series. So, um, no, I don't think you can just hand them the National League pennant right now. And I don't think you can even say that, let's say Glasnow and Sasaki and Snell are all healthy lined up for the playoffs. I would feel really good about the Dodgers' chances, but I'm in no way is it 100% they are definitely going to win.
Yeah, and I will preface this. I know obviously I don't think either one of us would have said it's 100% they are locked World Series. I still think, I mean, it's as close as probably they're the most favorited team probably, next to themselves as far as everyone would say like they're the betting favorite, right? Like
Yeah.
no one's saying like, oh man, there's a clear-cut team that's better and will be better come postseason than the Dodgers. Because it's just like at some point, it's like saying that about the Chiefs and the AFC, right? It's like at some point they are awesome and they do it in the playoffs every year. And when a team beats them, everyone is usually pretty excited. But also, most of the time, teams don't really beat them. And so with the Dodgers, especially just recently, like I know they had that streak of losing early in the playoffs a few years back, but it's like they won it, right? They won the World Series, so that means this team can do it. Like they've proven they can. And they really didn't lose a ton of players; they only added. So yes, if all these guys come back healthy, is it a guarantee still? No, but like odds are, I would still say they're the betting favorite. Like there's no doubt in my mind about that. Like just on paper, an incredible team, one of the best ever, maybe. So,
Shohei also on a faster homer streak or a faster homer pace than this year than even the previous couple years that he played. Um,
honestly, maybe they'll just make Shohei the closer. Like, at this point,
Yeah.
you could.
save his arm a little bit. He's a high leverage guy. He closed out Team USA. Like, it genuinely is one of those things where it's like, you talk about if Glasnow, if Snell, if Sasaki, if all these guys come back, do you want to run a 6 or 7 man rotation, or do you just want to take someone like Otani, who you're trying to save his arm, and just be like, hey, close out our games? Like, we know you can.
Yeah, especially for a playoff series where you
Mhm.
probably choose four starters. If everyone's healthy on that Dodgers team, I mean, they're going to have decisions to make, but I think it'd be a pretty easy choice not to have Otani start unless he's
Mhm.
totally dominating leading up to it because he is so valuable as a hitter as well. It's
Yep.
like, okay, let's just plug him at DH and leave it. And yeah, like it'd be cool to see him come out of the bullpen or something. Maybe they can work that in. But honestly, like yeah, I'd be fine with like a Yamamoto, Glasnow, Snell, Sasaki playoff series and feel
Mhm.
totally good about my chances. So
Mhm.
Yep. And then just last note for the Dodgers coming up, they will see the Yankees. So we'll get our World Series rematch from last year. Dodgers are going to see Fried on Friday, and the Yankees are going to see Yamamoto on Sunday. So it's going to be, you know,
Good matchups.
Yeah, good stuff coming up for those games. So definitely keep an eye on those and see how the Dodgers fare against a Yankee team that just did some damage to another Southern California team. We'll talk about that a little later. In fact, right now maybe we'll talk about it because we're going to move to Fan Corner. Fan Corner now, we're going to start as we always do with Matt and the Padres.
Yeah, so it's been such a weird ride for this season because, again, at the end of the day, like vibes have been weird, but I look up and we're 2 games behind the Dodgers, so like vibes can't be that bad. And I feel like Manny Machado's been awful, and you look up and his numbers are great. And it's just this weird thing with the Padres where it feels like we are the best team in the entire world when it doesn't really matter, like in games that we absolutely are blowing people out, we're gonna blow them out. But then also we're gonna lose some really stupid games. And it just feels like we're very streaky. Pretty much, we've got like 2 guys who have been performing consistently at this point. Everyone else has been really hot or cold. Um, but overall, in my notes, I say here, hope remains. We need a new left fielder. We need a new catcher. Even if it's just adding to the platoon at the position, we just need more bodies to give it a shot because right now those 2 positions are severely lacking. I love Gavin Sheets. I'll give him some praise later, but like his defense isn't great. In fact, it's not good. It's probably bad. Um, and watching him try and field out there is tough. So yeah, I mean, other than that though, we're good. I mean, it feels like we keep winning series for the most part, outside of that one little losing stretch. Like we're at least winning our series, so just gotta keep that going.
Recipe
We'll be
for
good.
success, just winning every series. That
Yeah,
That'll
no,
do.
I've actually learned that recently in baseball. Is if you win every series, you'll actually be pretty well off.
huh?
Could lead to you being pretty good. After all, I wanted to ask something about the Padres. I haven't heard anything really much about him. So how's Tatis doing recently? Is he just kind of doing his thing? He hasn't really popped, at least to me, like where it got to me lately.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like the Padres are like insanely streaky, and I believe it starts with our stars. Like Jackson Merrill went on this like 30 at bat streak where he didn't have a hit. Manny Machado did the same thing, and then he's kind of been good in the past few weeks. But same with Tatis. Like he started off the year looking like a clear MVP favorite, and has now kind of settled into this role. There's been some weird stuff that I've been seeing online where people are like hyper analyzing his stuff. He's changed his batting stance like 4 times this year. And I don't know if that's just like a him thing or if the Padres hitting coach has anything to do with that. But it really is interesting. His body language has been down, and now there's reports coming out that his dad might be having health issues, and he's got some baby mama drama. Like I just every time I turn around, there's something coming out with him that's just like, well, this may be reason why he's in a cold streak. And I don't know if that's valid excuses, but at the same time, like noise is noise. Anything can impact you as a person, and at the end of the day, these are people. They are not just athletes and numbers. So it's like I try and hold grace for him because at the end of the day, when he's at his best, he is absolutely our best player. And this team can go real far with him at his best. So I don't know. It's been an interesting season for him.
His numbers are still. I mean, as someone who
His numbers are
doesn't
good.
watch, I don't watch every Padres game. He's 10th in the league right now in WAR.
Yep.
His slash line is really really good. Like
Yeah.
he's
I
he's
think the
having a
thing
great
is
year.
if you looked at those numbers compared to maybe like the first month or month and a half, these are down. Like his numbers are definitely down from where he was. And that's not saying he's been bad. It's just saying they're down, right? Like, because he came off on such a tear. And I don't know. I think this is the same thing. Like last year, the Padres ended on like a crazy heater. And we were just going so hot at the end of the season. And right before that, though, people forget we went on like 4 different 7-game losing streaks. Like it's such a streaky team, and I don't know what it is that causes that, if that's just like the personalities of the players. I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know. But it seems to be kind of built into this Padres clubhouse as it's built that we are going to be really hot and then we're going to be real cold. And you just have to hope we get hot at the right time.
All right, let's hope so. So let's bounce over to Boston and let's talk about the Red Sox. Drew, what's going on over there?
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. I think it'd be silly to say, um, here we are on May 29th recording this. It would be silly for me to say there is absolutely no hope for this year, but I'm about as close as you can be this far into a season to saying that, because here's the deal. They were barely hanging on, like, mid, a very 500 team, which is what they've been for the last like 4 years. And this year was supposed to be different, right? Because you make the big trade for Garrett Crochet, you make the big signing with Alex Bregman, you've got these top prospects who are knocking on the door of the major leagues. It just seemed like everything was kind of like the right buttons were pressed. It's kind of how the offseason felt. And then it just kind of a slow start, like not really getting any traction. And then this past week, the worst news of the season so far is Alex Bregman, who had been our best hitter. He hurts his quad. He leaves the game on Friday. That was a complete blowout. We ended up winning like 19-5 or something like that against the Orioles. On Saturday, we have a doubleheader, and before the morning game, it was reported that Alex Bregman's injury seems a little more significant than what they thought, and they're going to send him for an MRI. Well, you win the morning game, and then the news comes out. I don't even know exactly what the injury is, but it is, quote, significant. And so what they do, and I've been clamoring for this on this show, but they call up Marcelo Meyer, our top infield prospect. He's really a shortstop, but they're like, okay, we're gonna call him up. He's gonna play some third base in place of Bregman. And so for a minute, every Red Sox fan got a little excited because we've been waiting for this moment. But then it's like, oh wait, he's not coming up to replace Trevor Story, who's just been terrible. He's not coming up to give a breather to Christian Campbell, who had a really tough May. He's coming up to replace our best hitter because he's going to be out for a significant amount of time. So he came up. Since then, the Red Sox have played 5 games. They lost all 5 of them. These were 2 against the Orioles, 3 against the Brewers. They lost. All of them were pretty close games, with the exception of 1 against the Orioles. It was like 5-1 or something like that. But we lost to the Brewers game 1, score in the 8th inning to get within 1 run, and then just don't come closer after that. And then back-to-back extra inning games, including one where Yelich hit a walk-off grand slam against us. Like, we're just finding new ways to lose, just playing very sloppy. And now everyone wants Roman Anthony up to fix the vibes. I think that's too much pressure on him. I also think
Yeah.
I'm not big on service time manipulation. I think that's kind of shady. But when it's your guy and it's your team and you come this close, where he's something like a week or 2 away from that not really being an issue, I get kind of confused by all this.
Yeah.
It would just be so dumb and perfectly on brand if they called him up now before that little deadline. And because the fact of the matter is, Roman Anthony can't fix this team right now. He could make it a little more fun to watch, perhaps, but the problems are much deeper. And so, honestly, unless they go for some kind of miracle run, I'm kind of thinking of this as another development year. See what you have, see what these young guys can bring you, and maybe make some big trades come the deadline that are more seller moves. We'll see. We have some pieces a couple pieces that are on expiring contracts, but for the most part, uh, we've kind of built this thing for the future. So we'll see what happens. Maybe the one little silver lining to all this is maybe Alex Bregman is more likely to not opt out of his contract because if he misses enough time, he's not going to get paid like he was on pace to do. So I don't know. It's bad. I'm still watching the games. There's still, there's young guys. There's reasons to watch this team. It's just not for competitive baseball.
Yeah, one of those fan bases that you have the one game per like 5 or 6 that you got to watch, right? You watch the Garrett Crochet game no matter what, and then you kind of just matchup hunt a little bit for the more casual fan. You kind of matchup hunt a little bit, try to make a good bet on seeing a good one. But yeah, and then you make a good point about Roman Anthony too. Is like the Red Sox didn't anticipate having this specific problem, which is that the timing of bringing him up was always going to be a problem that they would have. But before the season, we kind of thought it'd be a good problem, and now it's the problem is you don't want to bring him up in a situation where he could flop and people would get mad at him. Kind of like I guess maybe Orioles fans didn't get mad at uh
Jackson Holiday.
Jackson Holiday last year, but it was kind
Yeah.
of a similar situation. He got brought up into a situation and he didn't do well, and it didn't end up being the grand entrance that
Well, and
everyone
first
thought.
impressions, I don't know if they matter in terms of how like baseball evaluates them, but in terms of how fans think about players, first impressions matter a ton.
Yeah,
Like I think people still think of Jackson Holiday as like a potential bust, even though he's played pretty solidly this year, just because he came up and was so awful. But it's hard. It's not an
it's
easy
hard.
thing to do. It makes it all the more impressive the Jackson Merrills of the world who can just come up and do it right away. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. Well, a team you'll be seeing soon, the Angels. We'll talk about them next. Uh, so last week when we recorded our episode, the Angels were on a 7-game win streak. They had swept the Dodgers and the Athletics. And Angel fans who, you know, would love to be optimistic were ready to, start the hype train. And it was like, we're piecing it together, we're figuring it out. We're winning 7, 8. It ended up being 8 games in a row. They won. They won their series opener against the Marlins the day after we recorded last week. And so once it got to 8 games in a row, everyone was ready to, get it going. I said when we recorded last week that they would lose 6 of their next 10 probably if the trend continues for this season as it had been going. And well, they won their first game against the Marlins, but that was on Friday. And today it is Thursday, and they have not won a game since then. And so they have lost 5 of their last 6. And so I'm going to call that a good prediction from me. Because, when you have the Yankees coming in, this is the real deal now. Like this is a team that's really, really good. And I did not really think the Angels stood a chance in a lot of those 3 games, but to their credit, they only lost by 1 run in the last 2 games. And so, there is that. They also failed to score a run in the last game of the series, which was a problem. But the Angels, the bottom line is they need at least 2 players to be hitting like Aaron Judge to win games. Like that's just what needs to happen. That's what was happening during that last streak that they went on. Taylor Ward and Logan O'Hoppe were hitting like crazy. They were leaving the yard like madmen. And this week they have not done that, and the Angels have not won a game. And so that's pretty much how this team will go over the course of the next several months. I would imagine is if they've got somebody that's going off, they'll win a game or 2. If they have a couple people who are doing that, that's great. They'll win more. But unless that's happening, it's not going to work. And what might help that happen is so today I get a little notification. The Angels have, optioned left fielder Matthew Lugo, AAA Salt Lake. And I go, well, I guess it's time for Trout to come back then. And then a couple hours later, we get confirmation that Trout is coming back. He'll be back for the Guardians series that starts on Friday. And so he'll be back for Cleveland, and then ostensibly he will play against Boston the next series that we have after that. So we'll see what Mike Trout can bring to the team. If anything, it moves the needle on amount of games that I watch. And so, it's always fun to see him back. It doesn't feel like the Angels without him. So I'm very excited to see him go at it again. It was kind of weird. It was like the least amount of updates I've ever gotten about a Mike Trout injury, because it wasn't as significant as like the last 4 seasons have been, like where there was like, oh no, we're getting doom updates. But this time it was just like, oh, he started running kind of like last week, and then it's like, oh, he's back. It's like, okay, great. And so that'll work. I'm glad that it went that way this time. So hopefully this time they can maybe, I don't know. Hopefully he can stay in for a little while now, and I can take a look at him, because it'll always be great to have him in the lineup. So
would love to see him out in the outfield.
Yeah, well, let's get him in right field for Matt's sake.
Let's see him out in the outfield, man.
Let's get him back. Even if he's not really doing anything, if he's just standing out there.
He doesn't even have to hit home runs. I'd just like to see at bats.
Let's start with getting at bats, and then we'll see where we go. But yes, before we record next, there will be more podcast on podcast violence in one way or another. So we'll check in on that next week, see how that went. Meaning that the Red Sox will be playing the Angels. So that'll be fun. In Boston.
I'm going to attack Dallas. So.
Yes. Well, podcast on podcast.
Violence.
Drew and I, we're the undercard for a big UFC match this weekend.
Yeah, maybe we can do like a little live stream of a fight.
Yeah, it's not being televised, but we're fighting
here on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we're going to be streaming live. Me and Drew fighting.
X Live.
I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but it's going to be like in Rocky 3, the first time Rocky fights Mr. T. It's going to be pretty quick. I won't say who I think is going to win, but it'll be pretty quick. All right. So that's our fan corner for this week. So let's move on to Locked In. Give us some predictions for the next week of play. We'll start with Drew. And last week, the prediction was we will see a significant move, like a DFA. He said maybe a trade, but more likely a DFA or something like that. And Drew, how did it go?
Yeah, well, I mean, shout out that Alexis Diaz to the Dodgers trade that went down today. I don't know if that counts as truly significant, but it's the most significant trade we've seen so far. Especially going to the, I'm not going to even dignify that one, but especially going to the Dodgers, a reliever who we've seen high upside for, it's always a scary thought. But yes. Yeah, the day after we recorded, I texted our group about this because it was literally the day after Orlando Arcia was DFA'd by the Braves. Hunter Renfroe was DFA'd by the Royals. Seth Brown was DFA'd by the Athletics. Maybe those aren't the biggest names in the world, but that's the type of name I was talking about. Veterans who have been around, we know them, we've seen them, and they're just not contributing anymore, so their team has to move on. So we saw 3 of those, and then also a couple notable option to AAA, guys who probably would have been DFA'd, but they still have options, so they just sent them down. J.J. Bleday of the A's and Andrew Vaughn of the White Sox. So obviously 2 underperforming teams. You'd seem to have a lot of runway to just work through your struggles, but evidently they had enough. So they moved on, at least for now. So I'm going to call that correct. I got that prediction right.
One thing I will mention on this subject that I forgot to mention in Fan Corner, the Tim Anderson era in Anaheim is over. They DFA'd Tim Anderson as well. So that
make room for Scott Kingery, right?
Yes, Scott Kingery's contract was selected. Yes, he's back.
Another very interesting name. But yes. Yeah, my prediction is Angels Red Sox related. I don't know. I mean that in terms of who's going to win these games, it's the movable object versus the stoppable force. So who knows? Um, I know I won't be able to watch it because the MLB TV blacks me out of the LA games. But
So true.
anyway, my prediction is that Mike Trout at some point in the series is going to crank one over the Green Monster entirely. Now, I don't have a prediction on whether or not that will count for Matt's home run draft, but he will do it. And if I want to get a little more specific, I mean, he's going to do it at some point. But if I want to, make it a little more bold, I'm going to say it's going to happen in the third game against Lucas Giolito starting for the Red Sox. And it's going to be in his second at bat. So maybe the third or fourth inning. That's my.
Dang, you're really dialing in.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's kind of boring to say Mike Trout's going to hit a home run because he probably is. It's probably going to hit 3 in the next week. But
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna get a little more
Yeah.
specific because it's always kind of trippy. Like Mike Trout, like the Angels and Red Sox play each other twice a year, and so it's only at Fenway once a year, so it's not like super common. Um, but every time I watch those games, it's like, whoa, Mike Trout at Fenway Park. It's like two worlds combining for me because like have been to a lot of Angels games and I see Mike Trout and I'm so aware of Mike Trout. And then when he's at Fenway Park, it's like, oh yeah, like it's all the same league.
He
They
plays
all
real
do it.
baseball. He plays baseball in real places sometimes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just
Um,
on Disney Channel.
I mean,
yeah.
there was a game a few years ago where Trout hit a little like we were up by 1 run in the ninth inning at Fenway. Trout hit a little bloop single and then Shohei hit home run, and it was like, oh yeah, that's what the Angels can do. I mean, not quite
Mm,
anymore, but anyway, yeah, that's my
yeah.
prediction for the week.
No matter what happens, they can't take it from us. That was a thing for like 6 years. All right. Okay, so that's Drew's prediction for this week. Matt, we'll move to you. And last week, your prediction was that no trades will happen in the week, and if we go like record to record, you almost made it.
I was
But
so close,
let
guys.
us know how it goes.
I was so close. Apparently, we're not considering the Matt Tice trade legitimate, so that would also create a pass for me. Um, this close, but that's fine. Because this week I'm going back on everything that I've said, and I'm back on the trade train. I am going to predict one of these 4 guys will be traded this week, and I've listed them as such. Austin Hayes, outfielder for the Reds, I believe.
Hmm.
Taylor Ward, Angels, left fielder, right fielder, left fielder. Ryan O'Hearn,
O'Hearn.
not sure exactly. Yeah, O'Hearn. And JJ Bleday, who you briefly mentioned. I think one of these guys will be traded at least this week. And fingers crossed it is to the Padres. I want any of the 4. So that's my prediction. I think one of these 4 will get traded. I'm thinking maybe I need to be more specific on who I think will be traded if I'm going to actually win one of these.
I'm fairly confident that at least 3 out of the 4 of these guys will be traded by the deadline. Now, will it
Yeah.
happen this week? I don't know because it's relatively rare to have notable trades this early, but you know who you can't count out in that department
The
is
Padres.
AJ Preller. Yep. So
Yeah.
When is
Yeah.
the MLB trade deadline?
it's the very end of July or the very beginning of August. It switches depending on like what day of the week it is.
Yeah, it's pretty far out there, huh?
Couple months.
Yeah, a couple months out. Um, but yeah, Taylor Ward. I am a Taylor Ward respecter. I don't want to come off that I'm not, but when I say that if there's a God, he will be traded this year because he is probably of the players that can be traded on the Angels. He's probably the highest value player we have to trade. So
Hear me out.
obviously there are better players, but they won't be traded.
I'll give you Martin Maldonado and an annual pass to Disney.
Martin Maldonado coming back to the Angels. That'd be great. All right. So let's go to our homer draft standings. So we have an update for everybody. We had some moving and shaking over the course of the last week. So Drew, take us through where we're at in the homer draft.
Yeah, I mean, what we've all been waiting for is finally coming through. The pitching is evening out to some extent. Matt's pitching staff that had like four of the five best in terms of not giving up home runs, it's now more of like five of the top 16 or something. So we're back into kind of a more even split there, and because of that, because of my bats on my team hitting all those home runs, Shohei, all of his home runs have counted for my team this year,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
and he's the first guy to 20.
That's a
I
nasty thing for you to say to me.
I am dominating now. It is 9-0. Uh,
9-0.
so I am squarely in the positives. Matt is right on the brink. True
I've
neutral.
not once gone negative this season. If I go negative this late into the season, that might be kind of a coffin call.
Yeah, it could get it could get ugly. But at the same time, Trout's coming back. Uh,
So true.
Aaron Judge is still very much on your team. Juan Soto
Carson
hasn't
Judge home runs 2025.
uh Juan Soto still hasn't like gotten super hot yet, so there's hope.
I forgot I have
If
Juan Soto and he's
if
been
you're
bad.
if your team Matt, like I wouldn't give up. Um, but if your team Drew, I mean, you got to be feeling great.
I mean, I'm
Oh
I'm
man.
squarely sitting under 500 as a team at this point.
You're exactly 500. I mean,
I wouldn't consider that to be the max.
the way we're working it out.
Yeah, that's the way it works out. Quick math on that. But okay, so there it is. Homer draft standings for this week. Big swings, big moves, but also reinforcements hopefully on the way for Matt's team. Um, Okay, so let's shift gears here to maybe a little bit of NFL, but mostly just football in
Uh,
general. I didn't put this on the thing, but OTA started this week.
no.
In the NFL. Uh, for Seahawks, we got our first official look at Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp and everybody in uniform and stuff. So that was cool. They
Shit's
all
wet.
showed up. They all showed up. So that's always fun when they show up. We got threes back on the field officially. Emin Worry took the field at OTAs and he's wearing three and it's real. That was pretty wild to see. But as far as notable stuff from other teams, I don't really know what else. Nothing's really happened. No one said anything
There's
crazy or anything,
some
right?
guys who haven't showed up yet who are looking for contracts and that whole thing. I
True.
I saw
James
saw
Cook.
I saw Terry McLaurin hasn't showed up yet to Commanders camp, but I don't know, nothing at this point to really be worked up about.
See Joy Taylor's segment where she was getting all mad that Aaron Rodgers hadn't showed up to Steelers camp yet.
Is it because he hasn't signed with them yet?
That was what she was unaware of. It's like, man,
Um,
I do homework before our little podcast here,
It's
and
crazy.
she's out here on national television not knowing if Aaron Rodgers has signed a contract.
Well, it's crazy that um, to not know that
She's a
is one
book.
thing, but like I did not know that he hasn't signed, but also looked for him at camp. Like it wasn't there wasn't I guarantee there was no news report about like Aaron Rodgers hasn't showed up yet, like because
right.
that would be absurd. So she
Hmm.
asked someone if he was there, and then that someone didn't say, of course he's not here. Like, how does it, like, how many
Why would
layers
he
does that
be
have to get
here?
through?
Yeah, it,
That's
it,
so
it
funny.
got through a number of layers you would imagine to get onto national television at that point.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we know,
Well,
she's earned all her positions
her
and
her
everything.
show's on Fox Sports One, right?
Think
Is
so.
that where her show
I, bel
airs?
I believe so.
They're like in poverty at the moment anyway. Like their experiment like failed so miserably. It's crazy. Um, so anyway, okay, so yeah, OTA started, so we'll keep an eye on that. We know now that so for a long time I've been telling people that the Hard Knocks is going to be at North Carolina. For weeks, it has not been the case that that's happening. So my beat on that. The Bills have graciously accepted Hard Knocks in the NFL, so we're going to get them in the offseason. So that'll be fun for us to talk about. And then I think the in-season teams are the NFC East now, which is. I heard that there were rumors that they were thinking about the NFC West, and I was excited about that. But when
That'd
the
be
NFC
awesome.
East says yes, you have to accept their yes because they will get you the ratings you want.
Now, I'm not
So
a super like Hard Knocks fan, um, but is this like the Bills? Are they like the team with the most expectations that's ever been chosen? I feel like it's usually like not a super good team, but maybe I'm wrong.
There was the one year with McVay. I believe it was his second or third year that the Rams were
Hmm.
on it. Because we did it with Jeff Fisher the year we moved to LA, and that was obviously with Jeff Fisher, no expectations. Um, but the Rams are pretty good, but you are right. Like it is usually one of the, lower end teams, as far as expectations go.
Well, I know the
So,
Jets, it was a big deal when it was the Jets like 2 years ago or whatever, and they had
yeah,
expectations, but in
but I
retrospect,
feel like those
did
weren't
they?
justified expectations. Like this is a
That,
team that's like proven they need expectations.
right, yeah.
So
right
I
on.
do think this is definitely gonna be one of the higher, tiered ones for sure.
I never watch, but I might actually watch. We'll see. Um, all right, so yeah, moving on from that, I wanted to talk about there was a little bit that we didn't get to last week about the flag football in the Olympics. I'm thinking about this when it's announced. I'm like, oh, great, Olympic flag football. Uh, like, there's going to be countries that have flag football teams for the first time ever. This is going to be awesome, something they've never done before. Um, Unbeknownst to me, there have been national flag football teams for a very long time now. The United States of America has one, and apparently it's pretty good already, even without professional athletes in it. Well, professional NFL athletes in it. No disrespect to the people that play; they're professional as well as they probably get paid. But yeah, so I'm finding out that there's a USA, our national flag football team that already exists. They've
Yep.
won 4 global championships in a row. They're led by a quarterback that has never lost an international game that he's played in for Team USA. And so I wanted to ask a question, and we could have a little talk about this. So when the NFL voted to allow their players to be selected to the USA national team, there wasn't a guarantee that they would be because the NFL isn't in charge of this. USA flag football is. And so my question to you guys is for the first ever U.S. Olympic flag football team. So it's the first time we're getting out there, the first time it's going to be played at anything like this sort of a scale. What are our thoughts about the guys who have already been playing for Team USA, who have been doing the work, grinding, beating all these teams anyway? Um, what are our thoughts about them getting a shot at the roster versus an NFL laden super team? Um, what do we think about one versus the other?
So I'll say this. I would be shocked if not a single person from the USA flag football team is not on the team. Like I would be shocked if it was made solely of NFL players. That being said, the Olympics are still a few years out, and you're saying the quarterback you were mentioning, it's like Daryl Duchette, I believe, or Duche. Nothing but respect for him. Never lost an international game. That's dope. You can't tell me that his flag is going to be harder to pull than Lamar Jackson given 3 years to practice. Give give Lamar Jackson 2 months to practice, give him 1 week to practice. Like it's one of those things like you are saying you're great at this game now, and you are, but you're also saying that as someone who is not literally the best athlete in the world at this sport, and it's just a rule change. Like we've seen Saquon Barkley hurdle dudes in full pads backwards. Give him a set of flags and some time to practice. Like any NFL dude could make this team. That I don't think is in question.
Yeah.
The reality of it is it's going to be, who wants to play in this? Because it's already come out. Daryl Duchette loves saying like, "Oh, I'm better than Patrick Mahomes for this, for flag football." Mahomes doesn't even want to play. Stafford came out. He said he doesn't want to be the quarterback. And it's
He said
so
he's like 2028. Like,
What is he going to be like 44? Like something like that? Like
well,
he's
so is Daryl
crazy.
Doucette, dude. He's old too. And so it's one of those things where I'm like, I will be interested to see kind of how the makeup of this team comes together. I would be shocked if they didn't have someone there to kind of give representation. I also think it'll mostly be a kind of just a representation thing. Because I don't think you're going to find a guy who this is his side gig. You know, he has his own full-time job and comes out on the weekends and after work and practices and say he's going to be better than an NFL player. I think you could make a team of UFL players and it would still be better. Like, unfortunately, it's just people don't understand the like level of difference between professional athletes to like being really good at intramural sports. And I think that's kind of the level it's at right now. And we'll see. We'll see. I am excited to see it. And I also think, all this team has to do is look at what's happened with, the Olympics for basketball or, the WBC. Like, you will get more fans to enjoy the game putting out the best players. Case like flatly. And so I think
or
that,
at least the most recognizable players, you know.
yeah, or at least putting out some names. I mean, it would be fun to see some of our old, like retired, exciting players go out there and play wide receiver. Like, I would be okay with that. Um, and especially when it comes to flag football, when it's not such a physical game. I mean, what happens if we go and throw Calvin Johnson out there? Like, is somebody gonna go guard Calvin Johnson? I could play quarterback with Calvin Johnson
He could
at
stand
that
there
level.
like this, and he would probably
Yes,
catch most of the balls.
that's what I'm saying. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I absolutely love the attitude from these guys because it's kind of the alpha dog mentality, right? It's the athlete mentality. Sadly, you're a 5'7", 135-pound quarterback. And yes, weight doesn't matter and size kind of doesn't matter in flag football, but also it's just the raw athleticism's different. Like the NFL, it's just yeah, it's a different league entirely. So
Yeah, my take on the situation is I have no doubt whatever team represents the United States in the Olympics for flag football is going to win gold. Like
our
it's
team almost lost the last one. It was to like Italy, I believe, and it was like a nail biter game.
well that's awesome if the games are good, that's great. I'm all for that. This more than any other sport is like solely our country's sport. They do somewhat play it other places, obviously. They obviously have enough support to put it into the Olympics, where there inevitably will be other countries competing. But football, it's as American as as anything, really. And um, so so that's yeah. First of all, respect to these flag football guys. Like they dedicate time. They're probably really, really good, and that's great. But I think you nailed it that there is a there's such a difference. There is such a gap, and I think so many people don't understand just how massive the gap is between being pretty good at something and being a star in the professional league of that thing. It's just a completely different animal. So if you just took if you took a team, which I think this it would be a fun exercise, just like we did for the World Baseball Classic, where we come up with like our dream rosters. But um,
Mhm.
like if you took your dream roster from the NFL and had them play tomorrow against the Team USA flag football team, I think it could be a close game. You give that NFL team a week to prepare, and I think it's no question the NFL team wins. Like it just the receivers alone. Like you give me Justin Jefferson and
See,
Jamar Chase, and it almost doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
that's
Like
exactly that was exactly the point I was going to bring up. If we like, when you actually start looking at this, like I've played my fair share of flag football, right? Like there are certain skills that do translate because the only thing that's different in this league are going to be rule sets Like, can you run, can the quarterback scramble and run the ball? No. So, having a mobile quarterback might actually not be all that, important. But the thing being said is, aside from pulling the flag, if that is the only skill that they have to learn, because everything else, you're still just running routes against either zone or man. There's not some secret flag technique that they're pulling out where it's like, oh, we can stop any athlete because this is flag football. It's like, no, you're going to be in zone or you're going to be in man. Guess who the best people are at beating zone and man? It's the people in the NFL. Like,
Well, and
it's
then
exactly what you're saying.
on
You
the
put
flip
Justin
side,
Jefferson out there, it
yeah,
it, it, it don't matter. Put Pat Surtain out there on defense.
that's what I was gonna
I,
say.
I
Yeah,
I don't care if he doesn't know how to pull flag because they're not going to complete a pass.
right.
Like, and so it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't and the thought that came to my mind immediately, the famous Brian Scalabrine quote, right? It's like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. And he said that to dudes playing pickup at some like gym or whatever. And it's like, that would be every single player playing from the NFL to Team USA. Unfortunately, is I'm closer to name your, greatest of all time player. I'm closer to him than you are to me. And I don't, I see what you're saying. I think if they played tomorrow, it would be 60-7. They might give up an opening drive touchdown and be like, I understand it now. And then the rest of the game would just shut down. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I would compare it to like, if MLB players all of a sudden had to play slow pitch softball, like there would
It would
be,
take them an at bat to get to
yeah, I
it.
was gonna say it would go through the rotation of like, oh, that's how you time it up. But on the flip side, the hitting team is not gonna, nothing's gonna land. They're not gonna
Yes.
get, they're like the defense would just be so much greater than anything they faced. Like I I just have a hard time believing that these Team USA flag football players, who I have no doubt are very good at what they do, could get like if you took your dream defense and even for flag football where it's like okay you can't like there's not the threatening aura of I'm gonna get smashed by whoever
Hmm.
uh doesn't like yeah put Pat Surtain out there put put like any like, I can't imagine anyone in the NFL
Yes.
letting
As I said,
letting passes fall in.
you could make an entire team of UFL players, and I think that they would win the gold medal this Olympics, right? Give countries a few years to continue developing. We've seen what's happened with WBC. We've seen at the Olympics. Like, countries can obviously put out better products. They just need time to get there. And I think that'll be the case with football as well, specifically flag football, because you don't have to have as physically dominant of, positions. But like, this is the rule that gets me for rushing the passer. There's no blocking in this. So let's make that clear. There's no blocking. The pass rusher, and you are allowed to rush two players if you would so choose. Probably don't play free safety. Let's say NFL players, they go man up. We got Pat Surtain, Jalen Ramsey, put out Devin Witherspoon. I don't know. Pick your favorite DBs. We go play man against some dude from France, right? And we get to rush two guys. They have to be lined up 7 yards from the line of scrimmage, and there is no countdown. On snap, they may rush, and the quarterback may not run the ball. I like, dude, we have dudes with 10-yard splits at like 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, give them special teamers and they're not getting it done. Like
Exactly. And so it's just this funny conversation that's been happening around it where it's like, genuinely, people are so out of touch with how special of athletes these are that if any NFL player decides that he wants to be on this team, he instantly will be the star.
Yeah.
Instantly. And then if it's a notable NFL player, even more so, right? Like, if we do get the privilege of watching Justin Jefferson go up against some dude, right? Like, just a guy off the streets. Oh my God.
I am I am curious if it's going to be for other countries like for the World Baseball Classic. It's kind of loose in terms of what country you can represent. If you have some kind of heritage from that country, you can play for
Yeah.
them. I wonder, the Olympics are different. So, it's the Olympics. Like, I don't think you could do that for, say, track or swimming or something. But I wonder if for football, they'll let, like, okay, the guys didn't make the cut for the Dream Team USA, but they still want to do it, and their mom's grandmother was from France. Can they play for France? Like, I
Yeah.
wonder, I wonder what will happen there to give these teams any sort of fighting chance, because there's maybe 20 NFL players who are not born in the United States. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what the splits are for that, but I mean, I just don't even know who these countries could throw out there.
Yeah.
I
So,
wish,
for example, the
I wish,
Eagles,
I
Nolan
wish,
Smith
yeah.
has a 1.4 10-yard split. A reported 1.4 10-yard split. That dude is like 6'3", 200 something edge rusher, successful pass rusher in the NFL. Uh, he doesn't even have to wait, and he will be at the quarterback in legitimately 1 second.
Like, imagine if you didn't even use pass rushers. You just use like some fast receivers at that position who are not starting at receiver.
Right. And there's some guys like, I think it's like Chris Johnson, like famously fastest guy ever, basically. He literally had like a 1.2 something 10-yard split, and it's like he literally could be at you in less than a second.
Yeah, that's with pads, right? I assume.
Yeah.
And so it's just, you look at that and then you're like, okay, what route is a plumber from Lithuania going to run against Pat Surtain that gets him open in 0.9 seconds?
Gonna have to get
What route
creative.
does he got cooked up? Because
And just this whole conversation just makes me wish that there was a time where NFL players could play flag football against each other. That'd be fun. They probably would never do that though. Okay. But also, Drew, when you were talking about MLB players and slow pitch softball, it reminded me of when we went to the All-Star, like the day before the All-Star game at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
And
the celebrity.
Hunter Pence. We were watching the celebrity softball game, and Hunter Pence, who had been retired for like, I don't know, 2 years at that point or something, he like left Dodger Stadium on a slow pitch softball. Like he hit an actual Dodger Stadium home run
I was like, this
on
guy
it.
was playing Major League Baseball 2 years ago, and you've got it was what's her name? Chloe Kim, the snowboarder, was playing like
Yeah.
close at third base, and we're like, get her away from
We're
the
like, get off the field. Like it was, that was
Yeah.
also, something that was really struck us as really a very dangerous thing. But he did the kind thing and elevated, and he left the yard on a slow pitch softball. So that was fun. But okay, so let's wrap up this week. We have our dingers and stingers for this week lined up, and I don't really know much about any of these, so I'm excited to find out about what the heck you guys are talking about. So let's do our stingers first, and let's start with Matt with the stinger.
Yeah. My stinger of the week is Padre related. And it's the fact that Wandy Peralta is still on this team, and we've still got him under contract next year too. I never quite understood the signing originally, and he kind of just sucks, and it frustrates me because we lost a game to the Marlins that we should have won. It should have been a sweep in my opinion, and the reason is we sent Wandy Peralta out to get a last out, and he couldn't do it. And then we let him finish the inning, and it's like, fine, we don't want to burn bullpen arms. But then we brought him out the inning after as well and watched him give up another like 2 runs. And this is in the 8th inning. I don't know why Wandy Peralta's in a closing situation in in a high leverage situation in the 8th inning. I don't care if, our guys have pitched 2 days in a row. Like, they're better than Wandy Peralta on 2 days pitching, in my opinion. We have younger guys who I think would be better than Wandy Peralta in the 8th inning, and I just don't want to see Wandy Peralta anytime after the 6th. And so it's been frustrating, and his numbers don't look nearly as bad as what you watch happen on the field. And if you just watch the game, every time he comes in, you're like, this isn't good. Like, we either need to be down by a lot and don't really care, or we need to be up by a lot because it feels like every time he comes into a game, he's given up 2 runs minimum. Like, it's just bad. And I know he's had historically some good years, but it's hard when you know, like, he's old and he doesn't look nearly as good as even some of our guys who keep getting sent down to AAA. So,
Yeah, there's similar stuff going on in the Red Sox bullpen where it's like these guys get sent down because they have the minor league options, and it's
mhm.
like, yeah, but I'd rather have them on this team. Like,
It's like they themselves are better than the players
yeah,
that we're keeping. And it's like, Wandy Peralta, we owe him 4.5 million. Dude, at this point, eat it and just cut him. Like, unless there's a team out there that's like, hey, we'll take a guy who I think has like a 4 ERA or something. It's not bad.
yeah, it's not what you want out of a reliever.
Yeah, it's also not good.
Certainly
Yeah.
not. Okay, so we'll go to Drew now for your stinger for this week.
Yeah, my stinger is Red Sox related, but in a way it's also Padres related because
Oh no.
the background of this is that growing up, the announcer for my Red Sox was Don Orsillo. He did the play-by-play announcing for the TV broadcast. Um, after the 2015 season, it was a whole thing. I mean, this would have been my stinger 10 years ago, but they let him go basically. And now he's with the Padres, and our loss is the Padres' gain. He's doing great. He having fun every day, being the Padres broadcaster and then fishing during the day. But his replacement is this guy Dave O'Brien, and me and Dallas both went to school with the intent of becoming broadcasters, and so like
True.
I think we have maybe focus on it more than other people because it's just kind of an interest of ours. And I
Definitely.
think everyone can appreciate a good broadcaster and everyone can hate on a bad broadcaster, but like just kind of noticing little things here and there. And he's always been kind of a boring broadcaster, and now he's gone into straight up like what is going on with this guy. Uh, and he has a long contract and he keeps getting re-upped and stuff, so I don't think he's going anywhere. But like in the last week, I can think of 3 examples. I'll go through them of just like what the hell are you talking about? So there's one which was his color commentator. It was Lou Merlone for this game. Uh, said he just like quoted it was Cedon Rafaela was up to bat and he's like he's batting 351 with runners in scoring position. And there's a pause, a few seconds, and then Dave O'Brien goes, and Rafaela's up to 351 with runners in scoring position. It's like, oh,
Oh,
are you not listening to the person sitting next to you? Like,
yeah.
uh, so like that happened, and then on a different day, he was talking about Roman Anthony, who's in the minor leagues, and he had hit a home run that day. So he was talking about, oh, and he hit a home run. And then later in the broadcast, he said he hit a second home run. And then everyone looks, and no, he did not. So I don't know where he got that from. Uh, and then
Uh,
the last thing, and I don't know, I'm not going to fully call this a mistake, but I noticed it because he was talking about the upcoming Angels series. They were looking ahead at the schedule, and he was like, "Yep, and Mike Trout and the Angels coming to town." Now we know that's true.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
But
Fucking
at the
nailed it.
time, I was like, "Fucking Mike Trout is not playing right now." Like,
He's a
um, so
prophet.
so maybe he really legitimately had the inside scoop research. I don't know, but I tend to think probably not. And so at this point, and he missed like a week of games. They gave him a vacation maybe a month ago, and the sub-in guy who's been the guy for a few years is Mike Monaco is his name. I think he's so much better. He does other sports for ESPN, and at some point we're gonna lose him because somebody's gonna wise up and give him a full-time job being a team's broadcaster, and we're gonna be stuck with Dave O'Brien. And at this point, with everything else going on with the Red Sox, it's like let's just get the booth right. Can we do that?
yeah.
You know? Um,
Yeah.
so that was my stinger for the week. Is I'm just kind of fed up with him.
I will say, dude, like very recently when we had our series against Toronto, I remember like watching one of the games with Kristen, and Kristen's my wife, and literally just being like, dude, this series being like having to listen to the Toronto broadcast has never made me more grateful for the Padres broadcast. Like Don and Mud can be kind of cringy old dad at sometimes, but like they are good announcers. And listening to the Toronto guys have exactly two fun facts about the Padres that they repeated every other inning was horrid. Like it was a painful watch for 3 straight days. So I feel your pain, Dave. Bad announcers can like legitimately ruin the experience.
Totally. Totally. All right. So as always, we like to end on the good. So let's bounce to the good here, and let's go back to Matt for your dinger for the week.
Yeah, so all I have written is Derry Bonds exists. And if you don't know who Derry Bonds is, it's one of the many nicknames that's been given to Gavin Sheets. This dude has
Sure.
been stellar. I mean,
I should have figured it out. Oh, I get it now. I get it. All right.
it's one of my favorite nicknames, and it's so fun. He hit a go-ahead home run. I mean, he's been hitting all sorts of clutch hits, but he had a go-ahead home run, and hearing the announcer literally scream because Don Orsillo, ironically, has also, I believe, been on a vacation, so we've had a replacement guy. But listening,
He was doing TBS national game. So he actually called a Red Sox game last
Oh,
week, which not the
I love
broadcast
when
I
that
could see,
happens.
yeah,
but
I love
that's
when that
funny.
happens.
Yeah, so I mean, we've had a replacement guy, but hearing, you know, smashes the home run, crowd goes crazy, and just hearing the announcers just be like, "Holy sheets!" And it's just we were dying listening to the game, and it's just this
Fun.
guy has so much aura, like legit, just has so he just oozes swag as he's just a big oafy looking white guy, but he just mashes the baseball, sucks at defense, and has the best nicknames in for the Padre. Like, it's just been awesome, and he's been like our one consistent hitter this whole year. The side by side comparison shows, say what you want about numbers and stuff like that, but he may be better than Juan Soto.
Maybe. They called Cooper Cup Derry Rice for a little while, didn't they? Am I making that up?
I never heard that, but
That
that sounds right.
that Triple Crown season, I think they did.
Derry Rice is a great name.
But yeah. Okay, so we'll end on Drew's dinger for the week.
yeah, this was I saw it earlier this week and I was like, bookmark that. That's gonna be my dinger. It's kind of a cute story.
Very wholesome.
The Washington Nationals. Shout out Uncle Bake, our one listener. That's his team. Uh, they, some members of their team have started a book club. In the locker room in the clubhouse. They're reading The Hobbit right now, a classic. Tolkien, um, down in Middle Earth and all that.
Have you ever
But
read The Hobbit?
I was
I
gonna
think
say
so.
they're gonna find out that it stinks.
Well, I was gonna
Um,
say they're also gonna find out that it is violently written in like the 30s and 40s. Like the words that they say in there because they are still allowed back then are gnarly.
well, they're getting through it.
It's good.
But I'm sure. I guess it started last year, so I'm sure they've done other books. I don't have the list. Um, Oh no, they just okay, sorry, I'm reading this right now. They just wrapped up The Hobbit and now they're starting Fellowship of the Ring. So they're going to go through
Oh,
the Lord of the
great.
Rings. Um,
Good stuff.
but yeah,
The journey.
Trevor Williams, I guess, started it. He's one of their pitchers. And there's a number of guys in on it, and it's something they decided to do to give them something to talk about that's not baseball. And I think
Huh.
like hell yeah, like
It's a great
I'm
thing.
sure it's kind of interesting how baseball teams and any kind of professional sports team comes together, guys from all over the country, perhaps all over the world, uh, are all together because they happen to sign with this team or get drafted by this team, and this is where they are, and maybe they have nothing in common, but it's cool to see, and I'd like to hear more about other teams and their team bonding exercises and all that. But I just thought that was kind of a cool story and fun for the Nationals.
Yeah, 100%. I love that idea. And that's great. It's great that they're going through Lord of the Rings. That's such a perfect, like, sports guy thing to like. If professional baseball players were gonna make a book club, it might be one of my first guesses as to what they might go for. Is
Because it's
is Lord
like
of the Rings?
complicated enough to feel like real reading, but
Oh
it's like,
yes,
but
It's a kid's book.
everyone knows like Lord of the Rings. It's like
right.
no
It's
one's
very
gonna be
easy to get
like,
into.
yeah.
Very easy to get into because you can like if you've seen the movies. I don't know if these guys have seen the movies, but you can kind of see where you're at in the
There's
book, in
movies?
like in the movie, in the book. Oh, there's movies, and let me tell you, they're pretty good. All right.
And they did these
Uh,
live action ones too.
yeah, yeah, they did. In the 2000s, they did some, I guess, but I don't know what that's about. But the animated classics, that's what we love. All right. Well, that'll do it for this week. Next week we'll be back with another great episode. But for now, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, you can subscribe right here on YouTube, and you can keep, getting notifications for when we drop our new episodes. Shout out to everyone who listens. Share us around if you like what you hear. We'd love to, grow this community as far and wide as possible. Follow us on Instagram at Dingers and Stingers. It's happening over there as well. So make sure you join the fun. And that'll do it. So until next time, take care, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye.